We'll call the meeting to order. We're all admiring the new district office walls, so it's nice. Yeah, it looks so much bigger. All right. Student trustee Parmigiani, do you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Okay, we'll do 3.3 roll call.
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Here.
student trustee Byrne,
Here.
trustee Withrow,
Here.
trustee Johannes,
Here.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Right here.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Here.
Trustee Gonzalez Frito,
Here.
trustee Quinlan,
Here.
trustee Delphine Polk. Here.
Okay, thank you. We will do 3.4 affirmation of the statement of cooperation. I will read it today. The Peralta Community College District Board of Trustees is committed to our effectiveness as a board. Through an annual self-evaluation and the establishment of meaningful goals, we dedicate ourselves to functioning as a high-performing team on behalf of the people we represent and helping students reach their educational goals. We therefore commit to honoring and upholding these commitments in words and in actions. The full statement of cooperation is attached to the agenda item, but in summary, we commit to 1, build trust and seek to understand each other. 2, be prepared and follow good governance and ethical protocols. And 3, model the behavior we want others to exhibit. Thank you. And we'll move to 3.5, report of action taken in closed session.
No report.
Thank you, Vice President Quinlan. So we'll move to 3.6, approval of the agenda.
Move approval of the agenda.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I would like to withdraw item 7.5, 8.1, and 8.3 from the
From the consent.
consent calendar. And move it to the action calendar.
Okay.
That's an acceptable change to me. Okay.
So we're ready for vote.
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk. Yes. Trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. 3.7, approval of the minutes.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk. Yes. Trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And then we have 3.8, approval of the minutes for the board meeting study session.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay.
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk. Yes. Trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Okay, so we're at 3.9, public communication on matters that are not on the agenda.
We have no public comment, but we do have Matthew Goldstein here to speak.
I resemble that remark. Yeah, so for various reasons, there was no Senate report listed on the agenda proper. So I'm going to speak from among the public, and it's a position I'm very happy to be speaking from. I'll try to be especially economical tonight. Just one little bit of environmental observation. The place looks great, I agree, but I sort of miss the hexagonal chandeliers that used to crowd the atrium. Folks probably know I've made this point to Chancellor Gilkerson that they actually echoed the hexagon in the middle of the 6 books in our district logo. So I do kind of miss them, and I'm hoping that as we continue to renovate the space, we do pay attention to our 6-book logo. Yeah, see? I think I should just drop the mic and leave at this point. Thank you. I've got nothing that good from here on out. So just a quick couple of points, though. One, Chancellor Gilkerson and Ms. Tashetta Henry and I, as the outgoing PGC chairs, are now leading the way on the conversation around the revisions to the shared governance manual. That process is ongoing. For the next month or so, we'll be paying visits to the college councils and continuing to solicit input, and we'll have a perfected manual heading into 2025. So we're very excited about that, and we've made some real progress. A couple of curriculum related notes, and I know I've been harping on these for a while, but just to give you a couple of updates. One is most of the colleges have accomplished phase 1 of the Common Course numbering project, which, as I've said up here a number of times, is extremely labor intensive. There are state resources dedicated to it, but that work is getting done and being done very well and efficiently. So we're making steady progress there. Also know that the Merritt College campus will be hosting the Northern Regional meeting of the ASCCC's Curriculum Institute on November 16th. That date got shifted a little bit, but Peralta will be hosting at Merritt College the Curriculum Institute for the Northern section for ASCCC, which is a big deal. It's something that the district has been trying to do for a while. We got it together this time, and I understand that President Dixon will make sure that it comes to COA next year too. So Peralta is really putting in a stake on this in the years ahead, and that's very exciting for us. Really, that's all I wanted to share with you this evening. So thanks for having me. Have a good meeting, and I'll be in touch. Think about those chandeliers, David, and others.
Thank you. Do we have a classified Senate report?
No, Madam President.
Okay, thank you. All right, so with no other public comment, we'll move to 3.10, the Chancellor's report.
Well, thank you, President Gonzalez-Brito. Good evening, trustees, college presidents, district staff, community. It's a pleasure to be here tonight and give a chancellor's report on behalf of the district. So I'm going to start first by some news that I wanted to make sure that you knew. I'm pleased to announce that Nancy Caton of Berkeley City College was recently appointed by the 4CS, the California Community College Classified Senate Board, to the California Community College Curriculum Committee. And so I wanted to just get hot off the presses, let you know that really wonderful news about Nancy's appointment as a classified professional on this esteemed statewide committee. And so again, representing the district for us all. So last month I shared with you an article I wrote for the Oakland Post endorsing Senate Bill 1348, which would establish the designation of California Black serving institutions to recognize campuses that excel at providing academic resources to Black and African American students. I'm thrilled to tell you that on September 26th, Governor Gavin Newsom signed this bill into California law. The bill designates the California State University system-wide central office for the advancement of Black excellence as the managing entity. So the next steps are for them to develop the application and awards process. The criteria for BSI status were written into the law, and all 4 of the Peralta colleges meet the standard for designation as a Black serving institution. We really are excited about the opportunity for more funding and more resources to support the already incredible work happening at our campuses to support Black student success. And I'm excited the Chancellor's Office recently asked me to serve on a committee and a podcast to announce this big announcement for the state. So looking forward to participating hopefully in that here soon at the end of October. We had the board study session at Merritt College. I want to highlight it again. Of course, we had a wonderful study session at Merritt College on September 12th. I want to share some photos of the board tour of the campus with you and our community who may not realize that trustees went all over Merritt's campus, including the gym and the new bond-funded horticulture complex under construction. I want to again thank Dr. David Johnson and his entire leadership team for their incredible work hosting us and the incredible campus showcase that you did. I look forward to the next board study session at Laney College coming up on October 22nd. So mark your calendars. On Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, Deputy Chancellor and Chief Operating Officer Greg Nelson hosted Administrative Services, a retreat at College of Alameda. The retreat included the Departments of General Services, Information Technology, Public Safety, Child Care Services, and Finance and Administration, which are now combined in the new Division of Administrative Services. It was a wonderfully informative day and a great opportunity for the administrators and team to get together to discuss important matters collaboratively. And I just want to say this is the first time these managers have gotten together, right? Like first time. So it's a really actually pretty big deal. And so I want to thank CEO Nelson for bringing them together. I had the opportunity to join them for a short while, and it was great to see everybody together. And following incredible leadership suit, again, on Wednesday, October 2nd, our Vice Chancellor of Human Resources and Employee Relations, Andrea Epps, hosted a human resources retreat at Merritt College. So thank you to our colleges again for hosting these important retreats. The retreat included the teams working on human resources, employee relations, benefits, and risk management. It was an excellent, you could see some pictures there of the team building event that they did. So really to Greg and Andrea, I really want to express again my gratitude to your entire teams, your executive assistants for helping organize these events. So many thanks to Shinova Berry, Richard Ferreira, and Arlene Lontalk for their support in the efforts as well. On Thursday, September 26th, I was proud to join President Dixon and a strong team from the College of Alameda on board the USS Hornet for an excellent event hosted by the Alameda Chamber and Economic Alliance. The event included a fiscal fireside keynote conversation with California State Treasurer Fiona Ma and State Controller Malia Cohen. I was honored to participate as a panelist discussing the Alameda economic forecast. There were more than 300 people attending. And let me say the outlook for businesses and jobs on the island is extremely promising. College of Alameda and the rest of the Peralta colleges are leading the way in preparing a skilled and well-compensated workforce for the future. And I got to just tell you, just off the cuff. So one of the incredible things that President Dixon did, and I wanted to just thank her. So she brought a team of folks there. And after we finished the thing, it was a debrief with everybody at the table. Everybody she invited was saying, what did you get out of this? So classified professionals, administrators, faculty leaders, and she invited me in. We all shared what our reflection was about what we did. And one of the things that I think happened at the panel was this opportunity to really infuse the idea about equity, about the idea about the businesses in Alameda seeing the 30,000 students that we have in the Peralta district as opportunities for mobility and actually job creation and innovation in our district and in our community. So really appreciated being a part of that debrief with your team. So thank you again for being there and supporting. The Peralta Community College District was featured throughout the September issue of the national magazine, Diverse Issues in Higher Education. And kudos to Merritt College President Dr. David M. Johnson as the co-author of a new series that will appear in the magazine called Behind the Desk, Perspectives of Black Community College CEOs. He may make it look easy, but he and his co-authors made it clear it's not. And I really just want to underscore, it was really important and vital, Dr. Johnson, to hear your voice and to be with colleagues across the state in writing that article. So I want to just say congratulations to you on the launch of the series. And I really want to just say, I want to appreciate then the galvanization and the co-collaboration and the work that's happening in and amongst Black CEOs in the state to elevate voices and support each other in the work. So I look forward to the continued work of the series. I hear some exciting articles are coming forward. This issue also included a profile on me, which I was kind of surprised about, written by Editor-in-Chief Dr. Jamal Watson, so I'm grateful to him. And then the overall theme of the issue was higher education in the Golden State with a focus on California. I want to like sing a little California love. Okay, anyways, the marketing department, when learning of Dr. Johnson's series and my profile, used the opportunity to place an ad, and you can see a great picture there to attract more employees to our district. So you can find Dr. Johnson's article and the profile on me at their website, diverseeducation.com. And more Peralta in the news. My goodness, I'd like to take a moment and reflect on the substantial news coverage the district has been getting over the past few months. The Peralta Citizen is not the only publication covering us. Each of the colleges is getting exciting and excellent news exposure from a wide range of publications. You probably already knew about big sports stories like NBA legend Gary Payton becoming the College of Alameda's men's basketball team head coach, or the endless streams of articles lamenting the Oakland A's departure that mention Laney College. Did you know that Laney made the San Francisco Chronicle front page because of our association with a vibrant East Bay running club? The article goes on to quote Merritt College faculty member Jason Seals, a member of the club. Speaking of Merritt and the Chronicle, former faculty member Brad Bulukian, I did that right, Bulukian, sorry. Sorry, Brad, published an op-ed about why he named a plant bug he discovered in Tahiti after Kamala Harris. The Merritt College Natural History and Sustainability Program features prominently in the article. The Merritt College Administration of Justice Program was also mentioned in the Oakland side recently. College of Alameda Preston, Melanie Dixon was featured prominently in a recent edition of the Oakland Post and also got a shout out for the Alameda Post. And Berkeley City College is also getting mentioned a lot with faculty members Tomas Moniz and Michael Orkin featured in separate podcasts on the EvoX network and the SF Public Library, exhibiting Yours Tenderly, a production filmed and edited by BCC Media Arts faculty member Joanna Ruckman. We're also mentioned regularly from the important community events we host at the colleges, including the recent Berkeley Mayoral Candidate Forum at Berkeley City College. So thank you to Dr. Denise Richardson for her leadership in that endeavor. All of these mentions help show how important the colleges are in the district and are to our community. And then I wanted to slip in this last slide, this other slide, next slide. Today, I have the opportunity, you all, to visit the 8th Street pump station, which is right across the street and under us. It's fascinating. I mean, I don't know if you all ever knew, but there's a ridiculously big, amazing pump station that was built in the late 1970s and is one of many in the Oakland area that helps regulate the water, right? The water flow that happens. And the pump station pumps 440,000 gallons a minute, and it like takes these tide things and things. So thanks to Mark Razan, beloved geography professor at Laney College, inviting me to join him and the students. So I put my tennis shoes on and ran down the street and went down the elevator. And I think what you see in this picture is really, I want to say, the reflection of Laney College's brilliance in terms of how great the community is, the diversity of students in that picture, that's not even all of them, but from levels of ability levels to like just diversity in age, race, ethnicity, and all these things. It was such like a beautiful moment where I stepped back and was like, wow, we really just have an amazing group of people. And I met Tay. I want to give a shout out for his business that he has. He has a t-shirt, hat printing business as well. So we've got entrepreneurs among us as our students. And finally, I just want to say the Peralta Community College District is pleased to celebrate Latinx Heritage Month from September 15th to October 15th and Filipinx Heritage Month from October 1st to the 31st. It's Filipinx History Month from October 1st to the 31st. Each of the colleges has been hosted related events, and employees are sharing histories from their cherished communities. And that concludes my chancellor's report for this evening.
Thank you, Chancellor.
Oh.
Yes, we got. All right, so we'll move to 4.1, Bond Measure Oversight Committee Annual Report for full fiscal year 2022-23.
Thank you, Board President. So in 2006, the district voters adopted Bond Measure A, and in 2018, district voters adopted Bond Measure G. These measures required the establishment of a Citizens Oversight Committee pursuant to Proposition 39. And so I'm pleased we've had incredible community leaders. So first, let me first thank our community for voting on and supporting these incredible measures for our community, but also thanks to the citizens who make up the Bond Measures Oversight Committee for Peralta. And tonight we have Jeff Canberra, the chair, who is going to be giving a report on the latest annual report for fiscal year 2022-23. Welcome, Jeff, and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you very much. Good evening, trustees, Chancellor Gilkerson, district staff, and community members. My name is Jeff Canberra, and I have the honor of serving as the current chair of the district's Bond Measure Oversight Committee. Tonight, I'm here to present the annual compliance report on the expenditures of Measure A and G funds for the fiscal year 22-23. California Education Code requires that a Citizens Oversight Committee actively review and report on the proper expenditure of taxpayer money for school construction in accordance with voter-approved projects listed in the local bond measure ballot language. The Peralta Bond Measure Oversight Committee consists of 7 members, each person representing a different constituency, and all members living in the Peralta Service District. The community members include Terrell Gamble, who currently serves as the vice chair, representing the business organization. Andrea Dawson, who's actually behind me tonight, representing senior citizens. Marcus Crowley, representing the taxpayer organization. Benjamin Scott, representing a community college support organization. Jill Broadhurst is an at-large member. Cole Sexton represents Peralta students. And myself as the at-large member serving as the chair. I also want to recognize Dr. Stacy Thompson and Yusuf Herbert, who served on the committee during the fiscal year covered by this annual report. The annual report highlights Laney College Theater Modernization Project, the new Center for Liberal Arts at the College of Alameda, the Merritt College Child Development Center, and the new Berkeley City College building on Milvia Street. Over the course of the year, the committee received several project updates from Sharon Serrano, the AECOM board project manager, and financial updates on spending from each of the colleges from their financial team. The committee received the bond audit reports from the independent auditor in December of 2023 and received the presentation by Ben Levitt from CWDL, who is the independent auditing agency, at our March 13th, 2024 meeting. Following the auditor's presentation in March, we established a subcommittee to draft the annual report. I want to thank those subcommittee members, Cole Sexton, Andrea Dawson, and Marcus Crawley for their work. The committee approved the annual report on September 11th, 2024. The report concludes with this statement of compliance, which says, the BMOC does find the district in compliance with requirements of the California Constitution. Our annual report is posted on the committee's website at www.peralta.edu/BMOC in the committee's annual report section. I'd like to end by thanking the Peralta staff for their support, including Greg Nelson, Amy Marshall, BC Hoff, and Shanova Berry, and of course, Mark Johnson, who kept us on track through the course of the year. This concludes my presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So the board will now take action on approving their.
Thank you so much for your report. Really appreciate it. And then, sorry, there's an action item on the presentation. No, yeah. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for your presentation. Really appreciate it. And thanks to the committee for their service. So with that, we'll move to the consent calendar.
Move approval.
Sorry,
Oh,
and it's minus action item, sorry, minus 7.5, 8.1, and 8.3. Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
All those, any discussion? I don't know why I was gonna do that. But any discussion? Okay, we'll take roll.
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you. Okay, so we will now move to action items, and we'll take 10.1 first. Consider approval of the 2023-2024 annual equal employment opportunity.
Move approval.
Second.
And we can do this. Any discussion?
Thank you for the action items. Yeah. Sorry. So trustees tonight, you're going, yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I love you all. First of all, thank you so much, Board President. In July of 2021, the Board of Governors of the California Community Colleges adopted the new Equal Employment Opportunity Regulations to provide the necessary framework for more robust and accountable EEO programs. As part of the framework, districts are tasked with engaging in an annual reporting of EEO-related activities in order to receive the EEO funds appropriated by the legislature. You all recall that we were here in March where the board took action to adopt the district's 5-year equal employment opportunity plan. And I'm glad tonight to have VC Epps do a brief presentation on the annual EEO certification that we have before you tonight. Welcome, Vice Chancellor Epps.
Good evening. Thank you. So as the Chancellor indicated, I am here to present our first EEO annual certification form. The new regulations require that we use this new form for annual certification. Previously, we used a different form, so this is the first time that you're seeing this. And so first I wanted to give a little background. So for those of you who don't know, our Equal Employment Opportunity Plan is a written document that we're required to have under the Title V regulations. Back in March of this year, the board approved an EEO plan consistent with Title V. This EEO plan is our written document where we analyze the district's workforce and identifies the ways in which we will ensure equal opportunity in all of our employment opportunities. The district is required under Title V not only to adopt a district-wide EO plan, but also to review it annually and assess progress towards meeting the identified goals. Next slide. So by way of background, we first had to submit our proposed EO plan to the State Chancellor's Office. It received minimal feedback from the State Chancellor's Office. We then took it to our Participatory Governance Council and received unanimous approval. And then we brought it to you on March 12th of this year, and it was also unanimously approved. So we're excited to showcase some of the progress that we've made. Keep in mind, we are not a full year into our EEO plan, yet we have still made, I think, remarkable progress in the number of months that we've been implementing it since its approval by the board. The EEO annual certification has these components. And so I wanted to make sure that in terms of the document that you reviewed, that you're required to certify, that you understand each component. The first component is merely a checklist where we're verifying or certifying that we've done the things that we were supposed to do under Title V. The next section is a lot more robust in terms of one of the things that we agreed to do in our EEO plan back in March was to engage an independent consultant to help us with our recruitment, retention, and longitudinal data sets. So that's why you'll see that in addition to the certification, there's another executive summary that's included as part of your board packet. And the importance of that is not that that has to be approved, but that's where we drew all of our data from, in which we have to report as part of our EEO certification. So I'd like to speak to some of our analyses. So first, I thought it was important to kind of highlight some of the terms of art that are being used both in our EEO certification as well as in the executive summary and our longitudinal data. The first one is I wanted to highlight that the consultant was able to complete an availability analysis. And so an availability analysis essentially looks at who applies, who's available to apply for a position at Peralta. The next term of art is our utilization analysis. That also found in our executive summary identifies the individuals not only who are able to work at Peralta, but the percentage of those who are actually employed by us. We also have a term of art called the adverse impact. That's important because as part of the certification, we had to indicate whether or not our data indicated that there were any protected groups where there has been noted an adverse impact. As you'll find in the certification form, the data does not show any adverse impact. The last term of art is underrepresentation. And so that essentially looks at, compared to what we think we should have in terms of our workforce, are there particular groups in any job category where their representation is below 80%? There were findings in the executive summary that there is some underrepresentation specifically for Hispanic and Latinx employees within the district. Now, while this is not necessarily pertinent to the information that's in our certification, I did want to indicate that in the executive summary that we did look at the local context in which all of our hiring is occurring. And that's important in terms of the way that we calculated our availability analysis. So if you're looking at the executive summary, I believe around page 809, they'll highlight exactly how we came up with factoring in not just who's available, but also looking like locally. What do we have in our city? What's the representation of our students? And then they looked at our workforce availability and workforce representation, looking at who's available in our area and the composition of our students. So again, while the local context number does not really come up in terms of what we have to certify in the EEO certification, this is an important fact to pull out from the executive summary as our data does look at the local context in which we're hiring. This is more information regarding how we were able to calculate our availability analysis. And again, it's important to recognize that we get to determine how much weight we wanted to give to like the population of our students in terms of what we were looking for in terms of our availability pool. So I wanted everyone to understand how we determined to weight the average, looking not just at our student population, but also the local demographics of our community, and then looking at the state as well as kind of the United States. And so in the executive summary, although again, we don't have to put this in our EEO certification, this is some of the underpinnings on which the data that we are reporting is based. So I wanted to make sure that people understood that we are looking at the local context as well as our district goals in terms of diversity in our workplace and adequate representation of our students. For the annual certification, we only have to provide them with 4 different charts of data. 2 of them are based around applicants, meaning people who are applying at the district. The other 2 are based upon who we actually hire from that applicant pool. So the EEO certification requires that we have applicant data aggregated by gender under these 7 categories. And so this is the information and the data that we have for this from 2019 to 2003, identifying the people who have applied for positions at Peralta. This is really just a snapshot versus the data that's actually in our executive summary. It really showcases kind of the phase analysis of not just who's available, but who's actually getting interviews, who's making it to be finalists, and then who's also hired. The data that we're reporting in terms of our EEO certification is really limited to a snapshot of who's applying as aggregated by gender, and then by race or ethnicity. And then the other set of the data is who we actually employ. It doesn't necessarily look at the whole phase or the cycle of hiring to figure out if there are particular places in which applicants of a certain ethnic or racial category are then somehow being weeded out of the process. It's really just a snapshot. So I did want to highlight that here's some of the data that we're providing as part of our EEO certification. And this is specifically around our applicant data as aggregated by gender. I did want to indicate that across the district, approximately 39% of individuals identifying as female apply for jobs at Peralta, and approximately 28.6% of individuals identifying as male apply for jobs at Peralta. You'll also note that 31.9% of people chose not to identify. The second chart regarding applicant data is aggregated by race or ethnicity. And as indicated, this is something that we have to prepare. I do think that one of the huge differences between in terms of what we have to report as opposed to what is in your executive summary is that that data actually shows what's happening in our workforce as who in the context of who's available. This is just a snapshot in terms of who's applying. It doesn't necessarily give you the information about who's even available to apply. And it also doesn't necessarily provide you with the additional context of, are these people hired? These are just the people who choose to apply for positions at Peralta. Our next category of information that we have to report is around our employee data, as broken out by gender and also by race or ethnicity. And so this points out the people who are actually hired. I think that everyone will notice in terms of the grand total, it does not represent our entire workforce. That's why the number is so low. This is the number of people from the previous slide who applied that then when the information was aggregated, they actually received offers and were hired during this limited period. So it doesn't give you the context of the total workforce. It just gives you a snapshot of the people who applied between 2019 and 2023, how many of those applicants actually received offers and accepted them to then work at Peralta. And I think I'll note later in the presentation, I think one of the takeaways from the data here in terms of who's hired and our employee data around gender is that the executive summary did note that there are some categories such as classified positions in which males are actually underemployed given the identified availability data. And so that's attributed to possibly general industry patterns, but we didn't get a larger context of why is that happening. Can you go back just one? Thank you. And then we have our employee data as aggregated by race and ethnicity. And so again, I just wanted to illustrate that in terms of the deeper dive into the data, these are just the snapshots that are being requested as part of the EEO certification, but really the more robust data is presented in that executive summary, and we drew down from that data to create these data sets. Some of the findings that we received from the summary, the executive summary, indicate that there are actually 2 areas of underemployment when we look at the total workforce analysis. Again, that analysis is provided in the executive summary, but does not have to be provided to the state chancellor's office as part of this certification. But it is important to note that we do have areas of underemployment. There are additionally 2 categories where the district exceeded the estimated availability, meaning that given the number of people that you would project based on availability to be in your workforce, we were able to hire more people from those groups. I think it's also important to note that it was recommended that the district prioritize recruitment for applicants who are underemployed. Also, these findings support some of the efforts that we identified in our EEO plan regarding targeted recruitment efforts, which we will discuss later. Another component for our EEO certification requires that we go through what was identified as component 13 of our EEO plan, where we outline what pre-hiring strategies, hiring strategies, and post-hiring strategies we would use if there was underrepresentation or any adverse impact. Some of the things that we agreed that we would do had to do around providing training, ongoing training to employees, conveying in publications and websites the district's commitment to diversity and EEO, and addressing diversity issues in a transparent and collaborative fashion. We've made progress on all of these strategies. Specifically, we are in the process of developing another DEI training just for hiring committees. You may have noticed that on September 13th, there was an announcement that was sent out to Peralta generally indicating that we were having an EEO for hiring committees available online. We had over 50 people attend that training, and we're also going to have 2 more, one in November and one in December, as part of this strategy. Another thing that we've done is we've updated our webpage to have a page devoted to EEO. Lastly, in terms of addressing diverse issues in a transparent and collaborative fashion, we updated the website and we continue to inquire about our candidates' commitment to DEIA, both during questions that we asked during the interview process. The next category that we had to report on had to do with the hiring strategies that we would be implementing to address any underrepresentation or adverse impact. We identified approximately 5 strategies that we were going to be using. And you'll notice that a lot of the pre-hiring strategies and hiring strategies kind of work together in concert to target a more diverse workplace. So again, we're offering trainings. Those trainings regarding EEO committees and hiring committees started last month. I'm also happy to report that last week at the Human Resources Retreat, that everyone there had the opportunity to undergo training, EEO training, that was specific to the role that we play in hiring throughout the district. We will then also have additional trainings for our EEO Advisory Committee next month, and then we'll have the trainings that are available generally to anyone who wants to participate in November and December. We are in the process of updating our job descriptions and announcements. We commissioned a comp and class study by McKnight and Associates, and that also includes a review of our job descriptions, really looking at updating some of our current job descriptions and seeing how we can really embed diversity right into our job descriptions. Additionally, the Board of Trustees will be receiving training on elimination of bias in hiring and employment. And so we'll be doing that early next year after this election cycle. We're also looking at how we can have dedicated or specified staff just dedicated to EEO. That's part of the reason that everyone in Human Resources, Employee Relations, and the Benefit Office underwent the robust training last week during our retreat, so that then we're all prepared to equally hold the work. Lastly, we have our recruitment efforts and strategies, and we've been engaging in targeted recruitment as we set out in our EEO plan, and we've also recommitted to our participation in the CCC Registry Job Fair. Our last strategy that we embedded into our EEO plan that we're reporting on is, as part of our post-hiring strategies, looking at why people choose to leave employment with Peralta, we agreed that we would conduct climate surveys and use the information, and we also agreed to conduct exit interviews. As far as the climate survey, while we have already drafted it, we have not disseminated it yet. We still want to kind of work on finalizing the language to make sure that what we're asking will actually get at the crux of what we want to know about the employee experience. In terms of conducting exit interviews, while that has always been a practice, we've also updated the website where you'll find the resignation and retirement tab, so that then it also includes access to the Peralta exit interview survey, so that people at sites who have decided to resign can hopefully complete that as part of their resignation packet. This is another component that we have to report as part of our certification. And so they want to know the number of discrimination complaints that we received last school year. We received 17, which is up from the previous year. However, I will note that the increase can be attributed to either there being multiple complaints against one respondent or one complainant filing multiple complaints. So although it is a higher number, it doesn't necessarily involve more people. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that. Next, we have to report how we've been using our EEO funds. And this is not a new component. We previously had to do this in our multiple methods allocation in terms of identifying how we've been drawing down on our EEO funds. And so while we still have some unexpended allocations, we also identify what our plan is moving forward to draw down on those funds. And I think it's important that in addition to our usual commitment to participating in hiring fairs and really looking at targeted recruitment, another thing that we recently infused into our EEO funds is looking at purchasing software, centralizing that instead of having the sites do it individually for people who are, for example, vision impaired or blind, to actually buy the software that they need to be able to operate their computers and to centralize that actual cost as opposed to having each individual campus incur that cost for their employees. So our next steps, after we submit our EEO certification, we will continue moving along with our training for the advisory committee. We had one meeting in September, and one of our committee members was very energetic and suggested that although we only have to meet 2 times a year, that maybe we meet every other month, given the amount of work that we need to do. And so everyone agreed that that was an excellent idea. So we met in September. We'll have a meeting in October where we're then going to do the EEO training for the advisory committee. And then we'll be coming back together in December to do the deeper data dive based on the executive summary that you received as part of your board packet. We'll also be doing the data review, which I referenced at our December meeting. We'll also be having the ongoing EEO trainings for hiring and screening committee members. Again, we have 2 more of those scheduled, one for November and one for December. We're also, if you noticed in the executive summary, one of the things that the consultant did that was not required was not just break things out district-wide, but look at the individual 4 campuses and the hiring trends at each campus. So we have all of the data district-wide. We also have it for each of our 4 campuses. And then we have the phase data also for the district office, so that we have an opportunity to look at not just how things are happening globally in the district, but are there specific concerns at each of the campuses? So one of the things that I'll be doing is meeting with the college president so that we can review the data for their site and figure out if there are specific things that we need to be tackling at the campus level. The last thing that we'll be doing is, again, scheduling that EEO training for the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor Epps. Are there any questions? Trustee Gonzalez? Oh, Vice
don't need
President
a
Quinn.
motion
Oh, we need
to
a motion
approve.
first and then discussion.
We already have a motion
Yeah.
in a second, so we're just in a discussion.
Okay.
First of all, this is far and away the best EEO report this board has ever received. It's the most detailed, with a lot of disaggregated data, super informative. I want to say I'm particularly impressed with the changes that are going on with the job description. So the position, for example, the Vice Chancellor of HR, and I think it's maybe it's the Dean of Liberal Arts at Berkeley City College. Instead of the normal boilerplate language of understanding of, sensitivity to, blah, 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 it's demonstrated competence in demonstrated multicultural competence or demonstrated cultural competence. It's really easy to sort of string out a line of words, demonstrating that you actually know what you're doing, that you've done it. That's much more important, and making that a minimum qualification as it is in the position for the HR vice chancellor or that dean position. That's so important because what it sends out is a message to any applicant looking, that's a place I want to go work. That's a place that will really value what I bring. And that's regardless of race, right? So if you have white people who have that competence, amazing, great. Please come here. So I'm really happy to see that. And then seeing that training is then getting followed through with the hiring committees and the screening, so that somebody who isn't qualified in that realm just doesn't make it into the next pool because they haven't met minimum
Mhm.
quals. And so then having the hiring committee designing questions, screening, looking specifically for that, that's the best thing I've seen here in this district. So that's one thing. And I really want to thank your staff and you for really moving this ahead in a dramatic way. Secondly, looking at the recent data is really helpful. So like I was looking at the Hispanic Latinx pool of applicants versus the outcomes. Okay, the pool isn't as good as we need. We're going to do that. But the outcome was performed better than the pool. And so it's telling me that we're actually really working at this. And then the overall outcome, Chancellor and I were talking like, yesterday, I think we can be really proud as a district that this is a district where there are a lot of people of color. We hire a lot of people of color. It's reflective of our community's needs. So I'm excited. I'm really excited to see where we're going. And in particular, then as we go forward, we've got the data for the overall pool, but what would be really interesting to then see is, okay, so when we look at the last 10 years, what's it look like? Specifically just that group. And so you've done that a little bit with that I guess that 4 or 5 year segment that you've looked at. I'd like to see the sort of what's the trend, because I think we're just getting better at it. Or that's my sense. So congratulations to you and your team.
Thank you.
I'm super excited.
And one thing I would like to highlight is during the retreat for HR and employee relations last week, we had a deep dive into how do you make sure that your hiring committees know what adequate demonstration of these competencies look like, because it can be very subjective.
Yep.
So making sure that during that first meeting, you're having the discussion about how are we evaluating this? What does it look like? What does a good answer sound like? When are there opportunities where maybe for a faculty position, you're going to actually have them do a demonstration? So really kind of looking at what does it look like to say, can you demonstrate this? And then making sure that everyone on the team knows what it looks like is a really big part of the hiring and screening committee training.
Yeah. The last thing that I want to note is what I'd love to see more of a breakdown of the student body and then try to figure out how do we get more substantive student input into this process. I think, at the end of the day, we're trying to serve and educate particular student body and having the input directly of students and their experiences. It seems like we've got plenty of opportunity to do that. That's not so much raised up in this report, but I think there's some real opportunities. The API data, Asian American Pacific Islander data, isn't disaggregated, and so it's not quite as helpful as it could be. And maybe in future years we can begin to try to figure that out as we get enough data. I know sometimes it's like there isn't enough data to disaggregate.
Right.
And then the last thing that I'll just note is I think when we look at the student population versus the overall population, we can see that there's some opportunities to increase enrollment. So for example, I think we're underperforming with the API students compared to the population. I think that's an opportunity. The other area where I think everybody in every institution in the nation is underperforming, and it's really tragic, is with men. It's like a 12 point delta between men and women, and this does not bode well for the society to have a lot of undereducated men, and we see it getting played out in terms of the kind of the politics of resentment right now. And I think that's an opportunity for us also in terms of recruitment. So anyway, congratulations again. Thank you so much. It's just felt really meaningful, and I'm like proud to be a trustee in this district. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I think you noticed, but when you were about to come up, we approved it. We had the motion and approved it right away. And I think it's because we've had these reports before and they were perfunctory. I think to a certain extent. And this is the very first time, as trustee Yuena just said right now, where the information you provided and the presentation was both incredibly interesting and your analysis all throughout in terms of the documentation also interesting. So the question I asked myself was, what happened? Had we not actually done this correctly in the previous years? And I realized that there's the old regulations and the new regulations, and this here is the submission of the new regulations. So here are the things that I particularly find meaningful. In terms of the analysis, the deep level of analysis for each category. You have the administrators, you have the faculty, and you have the classified staff in terms of the interview and the hiring, and at each college, and you pointed that out. That was revelatory because having a general idea of what we're doing and having very precise, specific data is a completely different universe to exist in. So thank you for that. And the other thing that I find interesting and so glad we are doing in terms of these new regulations is also component 11, the underrepresentation analysis. That again was very interesting because I know that we all knew that we have a very diverse district, but knowing specifically the areas or the areas where we should target in terms of hiring and being a bit more balanced in terms of our diversity. So this was helpful. Your presentation was cohesive and really coherent, and thank you for all the work.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I've always been proud to be a trustee, unlike you, but even more so now. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I don't have a question. The one thing I'm really glad to see here, I'm a very big believer in the value of exit interviews. I think when somebody's going out the door, they have no reason to hold on to anything, and we can learn more about their perceptions and their ideas about things that worked and didn't work. And it's incredibly valuable for changing our organization. So I'm really glad to see that's a component of this process.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this. I want to echo what my colleagues have said. I've also been very proud to be your trustee here and more so now. What I will say, one observation and a question. So when I was first elected in 2020, one of the first things that was brought to my attention was a lack of a class and comp study by our classified partners. So I'm really glad to see that included in here. And I guess my question, and forgive I need education on this issue, but how often are those done, the comp and class studies?
You know, I'm not sure. I know that this is the first time that Peralta has done one in quite a while. And so we're still awaiting, I think we're supposed to receive something from McKnight in December.
Okay, I would just be, just for my own education, would be interested to hear that. So, thank you. But thank you so much for this. This is really enlightening data.
I had a question. Thank you so much for your presentation. And I'm just wondering about the underrepresentation of Latinx employees compared to the availability. If you can say, you went over kind of briefly some of the strategies. I wonder if you can expand on some of those strategies to close that gap.
Oh, sure. And so I believe it's actually a lot of the recommendations are coming directly from the summary. And so I think one of the things that was definitely highlighted is just the need to do targeted recruitment. So you would find that that was already a part of our EEO plan and our strategies in terms of knowing that there are some issues in terms of recruiting, and not a lot of people are aware of the fact that we're hiring. And so we kind of, put ourselves in a position where only if you're looking for a job at Peralta or you're currently looking on the CCC registry, are you aware that there's a position available at Peralta? So a lot of the strategies are circulating around how do we make sure that people know from these targeted groups that we're hiring and that this may be a good place for them to work. So a lot of the resources would be going into like the targeted recruitment.
Thank you. Other questions? Comments?
This is more out of curiosity than anything. When we are recruiting, do we have any communication with our other regional colleges about candidates they may have interviewed or that they weren't hired. Maybe there's one outstanding candidate, but there were 5 highly qualified candidates and references on the, do we work together with colleges?
No.
Is there a reason we don't do that?
Confidentiality, trustee, Quinlan is one of the reasons, right? So all of this information is confidential when a candidate applies for a position. So we don't share necessarily in that realm.
But we can share with candidates about opportunities at other colleges, right?
We could.
I mean, if somebody's not hired and we have 4 people that are qualified and we hire one of them, and we can let the other 3 people know that this college and this college and this college has a similar opportunity that they might be interested in. It just seems like if we have a limited pools, that trying to make everybody as aware as possible of the opportunities is a good practice for us to.
That's a really great point. And I think one of the value tools that the district and the California Community College system has is the CCC registry, which is a comprehensive, place where we put everything. But one of the things that we have not done is done media that's specific, right, for particular populations and communities in multiple languages, really thinking through how we don't just rely on the registry of somebody who knows to go there to see what opportunities are in a locality. So you can do it by region, you can do it by position, you can do it by district, right? You can go. So the registry is a pretty amazing tool, but oftentimes districts rest on their laurels, frankly, and just stick it on the registry and hope that that's what's happening. And so I think that's why VCEPS is really talking about that other piece, but we can certainly make sure that candidates know about the registry and that we're looking at it sometimes to also see, are we, is there a shared interest or things that we're doing, particularly because in the district, we're in close locality to other districts up and down the
Thank you.
region.
Trustee Gonzalez, Yuan.
One of the tricky things is that we're in an era in California and in the United States where affirmative action is illegal, or forms of what they're calling affirmative action or racial preference is illegal. And what it means is, one, you have to be super careful about what you do. And then secondly, because the environment is so litigious, that in general, HR offices just aren't, it's like, sorry, we weren't able to hire you. And then we're done. And you don't give any more information because you just don't want to open yourself up for liability. And it's really tragic. But that's the environment that we're in, where you just like CYA, move on. And then all of the stuff that I think Trustee Quinlan, you're talking about happens much more at an individual mentoring level, where you've got somebody you think they're super talented and you're coaching and bringing them along. And I think that's really what we can do using the contacts that we have on an individual basis. But for an HR office to do that, or for somebody in a hiring committee to do that, it's just like totally, you can't do it anymore. Maybe you could have done that 30 years ago, but you can't do it now. Yeah.
Other questions or comments? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All right, so no other discussion? Okay,
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Trustee.
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
yes,
Motion passes.
thank
We're
you.
having too much fun up here. We're just goofing around. Enjoying it too much.
That's good. So 10.2, consider adoption of resolution number 2425-141, authorizing purchase supplies from WW Granger Incorporated.
Thank you, Board President, trustees. This is an adoption of a resolution. We use, maintenance operation supplies on a regular basis, and the district staff has researched the terms, and basically we are putting before you a Foundation of California Community Colleges piggybackable agreement to allow the Department of General Services to purchase maintenance and operation supplies. So it is before you this evening. This is a standard item that we brought to you
Move approval.
previously.
Second?
Any discussion?
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
Student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
So we have 10.3 and a request by trustee Gonzalez Yuan to combine 10.3 and 10.4.
Move approval of 10.3 and 10.4.
Second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice.
Yes.
Trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. So we're going to go back now to action item 7.5, which is consider ratification of master retail natural gas supply agreement with Constellation New Energy. I think Vice President Quinlan, you asked to pull this.
Yes, the reason I asked to pull this is not because I see any problem with it. I see movement towards our board goals of trying to control our cost. And I think this is a great way to move forward. We're using the processes that are available to us as a district and as a part of the state. And the chancellor, I think, has a number on the amount of money this type of contract will save us.
Yes, so thank you so much, trustee Quinlan. Trustees, I'm really pleased to bring this to you tonight, which has been in the making, which is an enabling agreement and a transaction agreement that allows us to get into one contract with our non-core energy supplier for Merritt College and Laney College. And I've got to tell you, we pay per therm, and before we were in a contract where we locked in a rate, we were paying anywhere from 64 cents to 83 cents a therm, up and down depending on the time of the year, causing our budgets to not be, stable and not really understanding what was going on. This is incredibly good for the district. Last year, we paid about $1.4 million in this sort of effort. So this is about a $500,000 savings to the district, locking in a therm rate of 51 cents per therm for the non-core energy, which is a large scale at Merritt and Laney College. So we're pleased to do this. We're pulling this agreement together. The district will be helping support the colleges in the effort, paying the bill through direct pay. So again, you see part of our contract improvement process happening here. So I want to thank, the vice presidents at both of the colleges for their work that they've done at Laney and Merritt, around this thing, but really thank CEO Nelson and the entire district general services team to getting us to this point. So pleased to bring it forward to you tonight and hope you approve.
Thank you.
Move to approve?
Second.
Any discussion?
Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Quinlan,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so now we'll move to two other items that were pulled from the consent. 8.1, review of the purchase order report for the period covering August 1st through August 31st. And 8.3, consider ratification of the payment warrant report for the period covering August 1st through August 31st.
Board President, I am recusing myself from considerations of item 8.1 and 8.3 because I have a conflict of interest due to financial interests in Oracle, and they're listed in the two reports, so I will leave the print.
Move approval of both items.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Madam President, just to confirm, we're approving both items as one? Okay. Student trustee Parmigiani,
Yes.
student trustee Byrne,
Yes.
trustee Withrow,
Yes.
trustee Johannes,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Ewan,
Yes.
trustee Napoli Bellarice,
Yes.
trustee Delphine Polk,
Yes.
trustee Gonzalez Brito.
Yes.
Motion passes.
I think those are all our action items for tonight. Trustee Quinlan, you barely made it out. Now you're coming back. All right, so we'll move to Board of Trustee reports, and I'll start to my right this time. Any report, Trustee Withrow? Okay.
And no.
I'll just say a couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to the open house at the new Queer Center at Laney College. And I'm just so excited that they've got this going. They don't have it open all the time, but it's a down payment on promise. And I met some staff there and community members and students, and it's just really powerful to see us figuring out how to support students who often don't feel welcome in spaces, and to have a center with staff and a community was really wonderful. The following week, I had an opportunity to go to lunch with our new 2 student trustees, and wow, what an impressive duo these people are from. And I'll just say, you know, Berkeley City College just turns out some really excellent student leaders. And this year is really no exception. It was a real pleasure, and I really wish you luck. And just, they'll probably say something about it, but this coming weekend, there's a district-wide student leadership retreat.
On Friday.
And I hope they talk a little bit about it, but really trying to figure out how to develop a pipeline for student leadership is one of their priorities. And I think it's something that all of us really are supportive of. And so, you know, I encourage you to lean on any of us you think could be of any help. And thank you for your leadership. Thanks.
Yes, thank you. So a couple of weeks ago, I went to the East Bay Economic Development Association, their annual report on the future of the East Bay economy. It was exciting. There's good things happening in the East Bay, especially like out at Alameda. It's a perfect example of the kind of growth. There looks like there's solid growth in the years ahead. Plenty of opportunities for our students to get good jobs and good employment and good wages. And it was very encouraging to hear that report. So, yeah.
Trustee Delphine Polk.
I also had the opportunity to sit down with our student trustees at one of my old spots, Cafe Strata. So it was a nice step back in time at UC Berkeley. So we had such a great afternoon, and we got some really great ideas. And we are going to be meeting next week to talk more about transfer student housing, which is really exciting. And just building relationships with people within the community. I'm really proud to be serving alongside you. Thank you.
Hello, we have a few report announcements. So we are pleased to announce that we have finished our tour of all 4 Peralta colleges, and we wanted to extend our gratitude to everyone that welcomed us to their campus and just the immense hospitality that was shown to us. And we'll be kicking off our office hours this month at College of Alameda this Thursday, as their officers will be sworn into student government. So very exciting. And we were so fortunate to attend both Laney and Berkeley City College's club rushes over the last 2 weeks, where we tabled with an info poster board, meeting the students and sharing who we are and how they can reach us. And at Club Rush, we also promoted a simple survey to gauge student interest in helping with Peralta's marketing efforts, specifically to engage our younger student audience through social media. So we had around 20 students sign up for this opportunity, and we're excited to collaborate with Mark Johnson on this and how we can incorporate what will not only involve students who are interested, but will appeal to our students.
And then we are also planning to host our first district-wide retreat, the Guided Pathways for our student government. This will take place at College of Alameda from 12 to 3:30. And really the goals of this retreat is to establish, like Trustee Nikki mentioned, an effective line of communication among the 4 Peralta student governments, to inform our student leaders about the Board of Trustees and share key resources, and provide an opportunity for them to tell us their priorities and barriers that they may be facing. Additionally, we aim to explore ways in which we can support them in overcoming these challenges. And then right after, we plan to attend the 2024 California Community College Student Affairs Association Conference, specifically the Student Leadership, where we look forward to connecting with other student trustees and student leaders from across the state, including some students from Merritt Student Government.
Thank you. And I don't have anything to report. Vice President Quinlan, are there any announcements?
Yes, there are. Thanks to Mark. Let's see, hello VP, okay, that's not it. October 8th, 2024, tonight's meeting, number one, love your future. This is your last opportunity to enroll in fall classes at the Peralta Colleges. 10-week classes started yesterday and 8-week classes start next week. Visit the Peralta website at peralta.edu/enroll to start the application enrollment process. Number two, Merritt College is hosting a college transfer day tomorrow morning, October 9th at 9:30 a.m. in the Huey P. Newton Student Lounge. Representatives from more than 40 universities will be available to answer questions. Please visit the Merritt College website for details. Number three, Peralta Colleges are proud to support Undocumented Student Action Week, October 14th through 18th. Please check the college and district websites for activities next week. We have support resources and opportunities for undocumented students all year round. And finally, the next Board of Trustees meeting will be a study session at Laney College on October 22nd, 2024.
Thank you, Vice President Quinlan. I think with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.